Hello, good evening. It's 5 p.m. Welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live from a news up here at Desawe Kanda on John Hammond Street. We're also live across the web on 3news.com. Also live on Facebook. It's 3FM 927 on Facebook. The same as on Twitter. You can find us at 3FM 927 and on Instagram as well at 3FM 927. Connect with us. Let's get talking. We're very, very interactive all throughout the next 60 minutes here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Tonight, individual bondholders, we understand groups hold meeting with government over unpaid coupons on maturing bonds. We have updates on that because there is a statement just coming through from the finance ministry. We'll give you details of, but we'll be joined by a leader of this individual bondholders groups telling us exactly what happened during that said meeting with the finance minister over the unpaid maturing coupons on some bonds over the last couple of weeks. Stay with us. The Ghana Education Service cautions heads of schools to stick to approved harmonized prospectus for senior high school students after they emerged that some heads are issuing unapproved prospectus to parents, and we've got a lot of you parents sharing some of the prospectus you've got for your wards and the items you're supposed to be buying for your wards before they go to school. Outrageous, ridiculous items in there. We'll give you details of some of the prospectus that parents have been sharing thus here on Hot Edition. It says that investigations, we understand, is underway by the Ghana Education Service. Stay with us. We'll give you details of these plus more coming from the Ghana Education Service.
Then we followed up. In fact, we have identified some of the schools that we are investigating. Yesterday's statement was to caution the heads that were going contrary to what we had discussed, because we realized that some had adding markers, A4 sheets, some have mosquito coils.
Stay with us. The Ghana Education Service, you'll hear them here on Hot Edition. Coming up in the business.
Financial analysts express shock over government high interest rates for treasury bills amidst debt restructuring. We have details also shortly. Grace
Hamwa Ajiman joins us with all the news in the world of business. Stay with us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Remember, we have sport and entertainment also coming up in the next 60 minutes here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Keep your thoughts coming in. And we're live on Facebook. It's at 3FM 927. At 3FM 927. Connect with us and let's get talking here on Hot Edition. Let's get into the details now, shall we? And remember, we have eyes on what's happening in Nigeria as well. We're following quite closely how things are playing out. Komla Kluche is our correspondent in Nigeria. Is going to be joining us to go on here on Hot Edition on 3FM and 92.7. So stay with us here as we give you all the updates. As we understand, 10 out of the 18 political parties contesting the presidency have all rejected the results so far coming through from Nigeria, and we understand they have staged the walkout from the coalition, the National Coalition Center. Komla Kluche is there. He'll be joining us as we go on. But let's go to the Finance Ministry, because we understand there's something happening, quite worrying a development indeed, where a number of weeks gone by where the individual bondholder groups were giving assurances that the maturing bonds, the coupons on the maturing bonds will be paid beginning the February 21. What we're learning is that some of them, in fact, a number of them have not received the payment of the maturing coupons on the bonds that matured a couple of weeks ago. Now, they've been in some meetings, we understand, with the finance ministry and some other officials of the ministry since morning. And this is, we're talking about all three individual bondholder groups. We've been joined on the telephone by a leader of one of the three individual bondholder groups. I'm talking about Lawyer Martin Pebble is joining us on the telephone. Lawyer Martin Pebble, thank you so much for joining us on Hot Edition. Now, we understand.
Yeah, Mr. Ocansey, good evening.
Great to have you. Now, what's been happening at the meeting with the finance ministry? We understand you've been there since morning.
Yeah, so eventually he called in three of the leaders, and then he had a meeting with us. So the piece of it is that they ended up, well, they told us orally that they would make payments on the 13th of March. But now the formal statement says we'll resume payments you see, we'll resume payments on that date. So, well, in one sense, it's a bit comforting, but in another, you're not altogether clear. When you say we resume payment, resuming means we've started. That's the word. So like you resume school, you've started something. So meaning that it's not like everybody will get their money on that very day. That's the thing. Because you see, the words have been chosen carefully. So we also have to interpret them carefully. I know, Mr. Ocansey, do you have the letter before you?
Yeah, so we've just received a copy of the letter from the Finance Ministry indicating some of the detail that you have just put out. But I recall that the Finance Minister promised to pay beginning February 21 after the settlement period of the Domestic Debt Exchange Program. Since then, you haven't received any payments?
Not at all, not at all. And you remember before 21st February came, we kept raising the same question. Where they used at that time was after. They didn't say on that day they would pay. They said after the settlement on 21st February. So after 21st February. And that's how come for granting other interviews and say after 21st February can be 22nd February, 23rd, 24th. It can even be June this year, etc. And lo and behold, have you seen now? They say 13th, they will resume on the 13th. That is not a promise that on the 13th everybody should be paid. So the choice of words, and well, I would think it's deliberate because this is a finance minister who has now become very rich through this very bond. So he and the president, so they don't have any feelings for us. It's lost sensitivity because they are swimming in plenty money, lots of money. They've made money off these bonds through data bank. So now they can choose all manner of words because it says they will resume. They didn't say on the 13th everybody will be paid.
See, so what the difference between what happened after the 21st of February and now is that there's a definitive date, sort of, that has been put to when payment should resume, as in what the finance minister is saying now, as against what happened on February 21, that the statement that came out then was that payment was going to begin after February 21. So from your own engagement with the minister today, what is your specific interpretation of what is going to happen from 13th March going, for the benefit of the bondholders who are listening to us right now?
Yeah, so meaning they will be making payments. They will resume latest by that date. Means they will be making payments. So meaning that some people will be paid, then others, I don't know what criteria, but definitely look, the wording of it, the plain meaning of the wording is that not everybody will be paid on that day. And they even say by that day, so meaning they can start paying maybe any day from now, okay? Like I said, they will resume by 13th, meaning that latest by 13th, they will start paying. So it also means they can start paying today, tomorrow, etc., right? And yes, so that one they can start paying, but latest by 13th, they will start paying. But it doesn't give clarity as to when everybody will be paid.
I see.
When everybody, because they are in tranches, different, some matured on the 5th, and the others matured on the 13th, and etc. I think there's a third batch. So now, is it that we will be expecting that naturally they will start with those whose own matured on the 5th, then they'll go to 13th, etc. But even with that, so when you say we'll resume payment by 13th, meaning, as I said, theoretically, it can even start today. I mean, of course, but today, obviously, they are not paying anybody, but even tomorrow. But the lack of clarity, so the various groups, when will they specifically get their money? It is still very unclear.
I see. Yeah. But so did you get this clarification from the minister? I mean, all these questions that you're asking, did you ask him? Did he provide some further detail?
No, not. I mean, so to be honest, today's meeting, so I stepped out by the time I came in, they had entered. But when my colleagues came, I knew Dr. Joel Akwesi and then Dr. Edua Nanyinchi, the three of them entered. When they came out, they said, this is what he says, by 13th, that they are finding money. Yes, that's as much as I got it.
They said they are finding money to pay the matured coupons?
Yes, and principals. Some of them are principals.
And principals?
Yes.
I see. But as we speak, there is no clear criteria as to what formula and how many people are going to be paid beginning 13 March. I think those questions that you ask, for the benefit of your members, at least we'll get some responses and clarifications from the minister. That is, if you're going to seek further clarification from him because of how legitimate these questions you're asking are, so that your members would have clarity on what to expect beginning 13th March, as this statement is communicating.
Yes, you are right. So it has just come out. So as leadership, we have to sit down, look at it, and see whether, and definitely it looks like we may have to go for further clarification, because the groups, the way the debt matured on different dates and different people involved, this letter is not comforting enough. No.
We'll see how things play out. But thank you so much for this update. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
That's Martin Pebo is a private legal practitioner. He's the leader of one of three individual bondholder groups. So here's what's happened. The coalition of individual bondholders groups, made up of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum, the Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana, and the Individual Bondholders Forum, all three, had a meeting with the finance minister earlier today, demanding the payment of matured bonds that were not tendered under the domestic debt exchange program. In fact, government has failed to honor coupon and principal payments that matured on the 6th and the 20th of February, although the finance minister actually, if you recall, promised to pay these maturing coupons after the 21st of February. That was the date after the settlement period of the domestic debt exchange program. The finance minister failed to communicate why their matured bonds have still not been paid, despite those assurances they were giving. That is what led to the meeting earlier today. Here's what's happened after the meeting. We've just got a statement from the finance minister, and I'll read the details of it. The heading is Domestic Debt Exchange Program Update. 27 February, following the successful settlement and conclusion of Ghana's domestic debt exchange program, the government announces the following development. 1. Firstly, the newly issued bonds have been settled and listed and will become the new benchmark bonds for the fixed income market. The Ministry of Finance will work with relevant stakeholders as agreed to ensure that these new benchmark securities become the basis for deepening the domestic sovereign bond market. 2. Secondly, in fulfillment of the assurance given by the government to bondholders who did not tender, the ministry is taking administrative steps to ensure that payment of coupons and principals of the old bonds resumes by 13th March 2023. So if you hear Lawyer Martin Pebo talking about the 13th March date, this is it. It's captured in the statement from the Finance Ministry that payment for these old bonds that were not tendered in for the domestic debt exchange program, payment will resume from the 13th of March. They are looking for money, essentially, to pay these bonds that have matured, and the principals as well. Thirdly, on Friday, the 24th of February, 2023, Standard & Poor's Global Ratings raised Ghana's local currency sovereign credit ratings from selective default to CCC+. This acknowledges the completion of the domestic debt exchange program with a successful delivery of new securities to bondholders. In doing so, the selective default is substantially cured. So that's what's happened. And finally, they say the above stated milestone is further expected to accelerate the engagement with the external creditors. The government of Ghana also takes the opportunity to assure all external creditors of their equal importance to the Republic of Ghana. We will, however, continue to work together to advance the progress of our external debt treatment in order to ensure Ghana's long-term macroeconomic stability. This is coming from the Finance Ministry. So that's the update with the domestic debt exchange program and matters arising. So see how things play out from now until March 13. That is the date that this statement is assuring that payments will resume for these bonds that were not tendered in. It's some 17 minutes after 5 here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Remember, we're live on Facebook. It's 3FM 927. You can go there. Also live on Twitter at 3FM 927. A number of you parents have been sharing with us the list of items on the prospectus issued by some of the senior high schools that your wards, sons and daughters, have gotten admission into. The Ghana Education Service has cautioned heads of second cycle institutions to stick to the approved harmonized prospectus for schools in the country. This was after the GES said it had noticed the issuance of what it described as unapproved prospectus as some heads of schools engaging in the sale of free items supplied by governments to first-year senior high school students. Now, in a statement, the Education Service condemned the practice, adding that it has also commenced investigations into the matter to unravel the culprits behind this. It comes in the wake of complaints by scores of parents about the awards who have just been placed into senior high schools. Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Education Service, Cassandra Chumampofo, has been speaking to 3FM on these developments. Take a listen.
Regional Directors of Education and CHAS executives on the prospectus before we release placements, because we didn't want a situation whereby prospectus will be a hindrance or an obstacle for someone not to be able to attend or have access to second cycle education. So when we released the placements, we had series of complaints right from the 20th when they started the school registration. We had complaints from some parents, and then we saw some on social media. And then we followed up. In fact, we have identified some of the schools that we are investigating. Yesterday's statement was to caution the heads that were going contrary to what we had discussed. Because we realized that some had adding markers, A4 sheets, some have mosquito coils, some have what we call capitals and all of that, which I do not know, on their prospectus. For us, it was really worrying. And so we had to issue that caution to let them know that that wasn't what we agreed on. And so they had to do the right thing. We have regional harmonized perspectives. In fact, we don't have a common perspective for the entire nation. But because of the peculiarities and, communities differ. And so each region, Greater Accra has its own harmonized prospectus, Ashanti has same, and so they know. Because the CHAS, that is the heads themselves plus the executives and the regional directors came together to put together the items that are needed on the prospectus. So we feel that is what they should go by, and not to do anything contrary to what they themselves have come together and agreed on.
So that's Cassandra Chumampofo. She speaks for the Ghana Education Service. In fact, we just received another copy of this prospectus. If you go on our Facebook page right now, 3FM927, we're going to post a copy of it there, so you'll see it. The capito there, they say 3 sachets of capito, and they have cutlass, a particular type of cutlass, naphthalene balls, 20 packs. I mean, Kofi Asare is the executive director of the Africa Education Watch, one of the foremost education CSOs on the continent. Kofi, thank you so much for joining us on Hot Edition. And I'm sure that you've seen some of these prospectus shared by parents on social media. What exactly could be accounting for what the GES says is some headmasters taking advantage of the weaknesses in the system?
Well, I think that the problem is that, as you rightly mentioned, there is a weakness in the system. So if there were no weaknesses in the system, the headmasters wouldn't take advantage of it. Now, what are the weaknesses? The first weakness is that the GES in its directive indicates that there is an approved prospectus for schools. Now, if there is an approved prospectus for schools sanctioned by the GES for all head teachers to use, and parents are not aware of that access perspective, how can parents ensure that the right things are? You hold that critical information from parents. How can you monitor and ensure that what you are put is actually being implemented? Because it takes two to implement the policy. So the first gap or the first challenge in the system, for which reason the GES itself are leading to the fact that some headmasters are taking advantage of, is the lack of information flow on what constitutes an approved student's perspective. The second is that the senior high schools are, I have in front of me a senior high school bill, one of the class schools. Apart from the personal items the students are supposed to purchase, there's a section on the bill called for sanitation and then for administrative support. The sanitation and administrative support alone amounts to 1,025 Ghana cedis after my team costed it. Now, this includes A4 sheet, whiteboard marker, foolscap sheet. Okay, that's the admin support item. These items are supposed to be used for examination and teaching and learning. And then the second aspect of it is sanitation facilities: bleach, liquid soap, broom, camphor, mosquito spray, car duster, akasha, liquid parazone, solid parazone, Dettol.
And in fact,
all these items are sanitation equipment. Now, if you look at this 1,025 worth of items that are going to the school, not the students' personal items. If you look at the free senior high school policy, sanitation is covered under the free senior high school policy. Maintenance is covered under the free senior high school policy, including, and I forgot to mention, electric bulbs, car duster, they are all part of this. So if you look at it carefully, I divide it into three. One is examination-related items, like the foolscap sheet, A4, etc. And then the other section is maintenance-related aspects. For example, the school bulb, the bulb, electric bulb. And then the third is sanitation. Majority of them items are sanitation. Now, all these three groups of items are catered for in the free senior high school policy. And budgetary allocations have been made for them in this year's free senior school budget. The government will pay sanitation fee, I think it's 13 fees also. Government will pay examination fee, and government will pay maintenance fee. So the question is, after the students have procured all these items, if government fee, that's the fees that is part of the free senior high school, if it is paid eventually to the schools, what would that money be used for? So we see a potential for duplicitous, for duplication. And that is where our foremost concern is. Because if parents do not have the means to foot all these bills, if you add this auxiliary bill to the personal items, it adds up to about 5,000 Ghana cedis. So you ask yourself, government has introduced a policy to remove cost barriers to accessing free senior secondary education in Ghana, which is called free senior high school. And government is absorbing the total fees of the child, which is about 2,000 Ghana cedis a whole year. But here's the case where after government absorbing this, there is another huge bill coming from the school, which is almost 5,000 Ghana cedis, which is creating another barrier. If we don't take time, the gains we are making under the free senior high school policy, by virtue of removal of 2,000 Ghana cedis fees for boarders and then about 1,000 cedis fees for this students, would be eroded because this mountain of student prospectus we have here cannot be afforded by some poor families, and that is where our concern is.
And you see, the point you made, a very, very important point, Kofi, about the barrier that this creates as well. If you speak to some of the senior high school heads off record, they say that because over time, government allocation has delayed, and so they've had to fund the administration of these senior high schools, either by their own private funds, and then eventually when government money comes in so late, they settle some of the creditors. Some of them took loans to run, the administration of the senior high schools until government allocation comes in. Some of them owe these financial institutions, and so they cannot go for the loans anymore. And so they are now shifting that burden, which was created by government late disbursement of monies for these items, which you say is supposed to be free, which is indeed free under the free senior high school. The students have to now take it up. That's where the concern is.
That burden cannot be shifted by the school head. It cannot be shifted by the school heads to parents. They have no right to do so. If, according to the policy and the budget as appropriated by Parliament, examination fees are supposed to be paid by government for all students in senior high schools. Sanitation is supposed to be taken care of by government under free senior high school, and maintenance. School heads cannot use their power to shift the cost onto parents. It is only government that has to indicate that by virtue of my inability to raise funds to finance these items, schools should take, if you like, the items on credit, so that government payment to the schools will include the cost of the credit and then the credit. Or government can say that we are unable to finance all these items. By virtue of that, we are asking parents to take care of the cost of examination, maintenance, and sanitation at the policy level. That is how it has to be done. And this can only be done if CHART engages government at that level, that we don't have items running the schools. Your money is delaying, and we don't have access to credit because perhaps we don't know when the money will come. We don't want to go and borrow items. So what's the way forward? That is what I think the school head should engage government on. But if the school head continue to pursue, for want of a better word, an illegality in order to solve a problem, then government will also be relaxed. Government will also be assured that our school heads will always do magic and run the schools with or without money. So why not default the release of the administrative grants for up to a year? We know that grants haven't been going. We've seen the child circulars that were issued last year. At the point, it was in arrest for almost 1 year. We are aware. But a solution to that is not shifting costs onto parents. It is confronting the situation everyone and letting the government understand that if the money for running sanitation and maintenance and examination in our schools do not come, we won't run the schools until you bring the money. That's what will compel government to find the money and bring it. The way government finds money and bring it when it comes to food shortage. But if you always want to be innovative and you break the law, you break the rules, and you should burden on parents, some of whom genuinely cannot afford, then you are not doing the right thing. You are doing the wrong thing. You are breaking the law to uphold the law. That is not what we want to encourage. I want to emphasize that if we appreciate that some people are not able to access secondary education because of cost, for which reason we introduce free senior high school, then we must be mindful of the hidden costs that parents are being asked to bear. And let me say, Alfred, that what you are seeing in the prospectus is not just it. In many of the schools, the students are bringing these items every time. It is not just in year one. For many of the things you are seeing there, I am seeing weedicide, I am seeing car duster too, I am seeing electric bulb. All these things, they bring it every year. It is not one.
I see.
Every year. So we must be mindful about how we shift costs onto parents, especially when government or at the policy level it is not sanctioned. Other than that, we will impose higher costs on parents. It will lead to people not being able to access secondary education, even though free senior high school would have existed. And that is where we should engage. So I support the GES in the sequence they release, but the GES would have better acted if they made publicly to all parents a copy of the approved prospectus list, so that parents would have led in ensuring that their directive is enforced. Unfortunately, you are always having a GES before the critical information from the citizenry. So we want the seniors to come out and then make a pronouncement, release the approved prospectus to parents,
right,
and then go further and ask schools that have received items beyond the approved prospectus to return the items to the parents or face sanctions.
Face sanctions.
Merely issuing a threat or warning through a directive is not enough. It will not alone facilitate compliance.
Kofi, I thank you so much for this update. Really appreciate it. Kofi Asare, as always, Kofi Asare is Executive Director of the Africa Education Watch, and it's one of the foremost society organizations in the education sector, joining us on this. And a number of you parents have been sharing with us your concerns about this prospectus. When you go on our Facebook page right now, you're going to see copies of the prospectus and the list of items on there. You'll see khaki trousers, pajamas, water bottle, shaving blade, nail cutter. You have A4 sheets, whiteboard marker. There's car dusters 3, cutlass a particular type, naphthalene balls 20 packs, and then you have Capito, 4 sachets of Capito. There's bleach, and you have liquid soap. So many of them. I mean, almost items about 73 in some cases. We've seen some of the list of items, and a number of you parents have been complaining about this, and this is something that many do agree that GES must give some more detail. But let's cross over to Nigeria now, give you updates of what's happening there. It's some 27 minutes to the top of the hour here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Some 10 party agents in the ongoing elections in Nigeria have walked out of the National Coalition Center over what they say is a collusion on the part of the Independent National Electoral Commission, that's INEC, and the ruling APC. Now, the 10 political parties, which include the Labour Party and the PDP, have challenged the outcome of election results from the Ekiti state, insisting the Electoral Commission should display uploaded results from all polling units, a request which has been rejected by the chair of INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu. Now, this angered them, resulting in a walkout. That's why election results still trickling in, and we have live views of what's happening at the Coalition Center, the National Coalition Center in Nigeria. An agent of the PDP, Dino, that's Melaye, he's been speaking, but stay with me here on Hot Edition. Let's cross over to Nigeria live now, and my colleague Komla Kloche, who's been bringing us up to speed with everything that's happening in Nigeria across states and all the exclusive interviews, is joining us on Zoom from Abuja, where our head station is. And Kamala, thank you so much for the great work you're doing for the Ghanaian people, from Abuja there. Now, tell us, you're in the National Coalition Center now. What is going on after the walkout by these 10 agents of the political parties there?
Well, Alfred, I can tell you that it's been about 45 to 50 minutes of heated exchanges from these political parties led by the PDP and then the Labour Party. Just like you did say, it's ostensibly because they said the results have not been uploaded onto the server or the platform that the Electoral Commission provided, which the law itself gives back into. Now, by the requirements, they are supposed to do this before the commissioners from the various states or the returning officers from the various states will come, and then they present the hard copy. They are vetted before the verification is done, and then the coalition is done finally. But the party agents for the PDP, the Labour Party, and then other ones had to challenge this because they said there is no means by which these results have been transferred onto the server. They do not have access to the server, and they think that is not a reflection of the results that are coming from the various states. And this actually angered them. In fact, the Electoral Commission yesterday did indicate that yes, they have challenges with the platform, but then they have been able to provide a secured email to the commissioners from the various states to be able to transmit the results soft copy before they come over. So before you come, they've already done the vetting, and when you come, it must be the same thing. And these results that are transmitted, the party agents are sent to them, and so it is what these parties are challenging. In fact, they use very, very strong words indicating that the uh, the chairman of INEC, or INEC for that matter, one is in bed with the APC, and that the system is being defrauded. They think that it's a deliberate attempt to defraud the people, of the good people of Nigeria. And just after they did that, the chairman of INEC, very calm in his nature, responded to it by saying, well, the allegations that they are raising, it's not true. In fact, there were calls by these parties that the process should be halted for 24 hours for the people to be able to fix the system. And when the system is fixed, all of them are able to have access to it. But the chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, rejected this flatly and said, well, it's been 48 hours that polls have closed. They cannot further delay the process, and that they are going to continue as long as they are here. If they have any issues regarding this, well, they can hold on. When the process is done and dusted, then they can address them as an independent body. But this did not go down well with the parties led by the PDP. They staged a walkout. They addressed the press where they used very, very, very strong words against the chairman of INEC. Shortly after that, Alfred, and quite surprising, some of the parties that staged the walkout together with the PDP and the Labour Party, shortly after that, they came back into the National Coalition Center and have had to indicate to the chairman of INEC that they are receiving reports that they have staged a walkout. They want to place it on record that they have actually not staged the walkout, but then they are giving their full backing to the INEC. These parties came back and spoke into the microphone, and these the parties that came to speak were minus the APC and then the Labour Party. Sorry, the PDP and the Labour Party. So it's quite a confusing thing. I must tell you that the National Coalition Center or the conference center has been a heated place, I must say, from morning till now. But the chairman of INEC and the commissioners are very determined that they're going to go ahead. They've received quite a good number of the results. They said they are going ahead, they're going to do it, and they are committed to finishing the job that the good people of Nigeria have entrusted them to do.
And Kamala, I want to hold on a bit for me. Let's take a listen to the agent of the PDP, Dino Melaye, who addressed you together with other journalists at the outside of the coalition center when they walked out, the 10 political party agents.
All the political parties here staged a walkout to express the unfortunate politicization and commercialization of our electoral process.
How many of the parties have taken a walkout?
We are about 9-10 of us here, understand? And we are saying that INEC is compromised, APC have influenced INEC, and we can see results are being changed. We have records of where elections did not take place and results have been prepared. Yeah. We have records of where the beavers were not used and results have been pronounced. What is difficult in the INEC chairman showing the uploaded results so that we can compare and interrogate that made by the state returning officers. But they cannot upload results. They cannot show us uploaded results because they know that what they are going to upload will be at variance with what they are presenting to Nigerians. So the electoral process have been rigged. INEC have rigged the 2023 elections, and we are completely dissociating ourselves from it, and we know what to do next.
My name is Honorable Umar Farouk Ibrahim, the National Secretary of the Labour Party, and also...
So that's what's happened earlier. In fact, just about an hour ago, this incident happened. Coming out for the Labour Party, they, from what you reported earlier, they're asking the results to be cancelled and entirely. Now, what has been the response of INEC to the Labour Party's demands?
I mean, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu has been very defiant on this. He said, I mean, if you have any challenge, you know the appropriate thing to do. The Constitution stipulates what is actually to do, but you cannot from anywhere come and just tell them, you know, what to do. You have your right to show your disagreement and all that. They equally have their right. They have the constitutional mandate and backing of the good people of Nigeria to go ahead and do what they have to do. And everything that they are doing, they are doing it within the ambits of the law. So, I mean, he went on by saying, well, he said the concerns that they've raised, but then he's going ahead to do it.
I see. Now, and finally, before I let you go, any idea of how things are playing out with respect to the in this case, the presidential race? Do you still see any clear lead from the preliminary results that you have received so far?
We have quite a good number of the results, but I mean, there's been one thing that INEC has stated, and they keep repeating at every point in time when they gather at the coalition center, is the very first thing that they say, that the media should refrain from even making projections and all of that. Even the parties, they have encouraged them that, yes, you can do your tabulations, you can do your calculations and all that, but refrain from announcing any result until INEC does so. As we speak to you, I think just about 9 or 10 of them have been able to have their results collated and presented at the National Coalition Center. This is still quite a long way to go. I mean, looking at the 36 states that need to do this. For now, we are unable to tell, you know, what it is. And basically, I mean, as responsible as we want to be, and you also need to be very, very careful in what you report out there. We do not want to get ourselves involved into the politics of it. Meanings could be read, but I can tell you that, yes, indeed, INEC has had a lot of commendations from the international observer groups and then even domestic ones. But then the issues of violence and thuggery that has characterized voting on Saturday, the delay, and also because the AU and ECOWAS has said INEC needs to do a better job than they have done now. In fact, they are of the firm belief that the declaration of the result and its aftermath could be dire, and so they are urging INEC to be able to consider all of this. And a reminder to the parties that the peace accord that is signed, they need to stick to it and be wary of the fact that it's only one Nigeria they have. Nigeria is the only, the largest democracy in Africa that all of them are looking up to. The more reason why a lot of former heads of state, at least I have counted close to about 10 former heads of state who have come to Nigeria and are observing this election. It tells you
indeed
in this and why they think that it is important that they keep the sanctity of the state and the unity and peace of the country.
Komla, appreciate this detail. Thank you so much. Komla Kloche is a man leading the crack team in Nigeria. This is your election command center, and we are stationed across a number of states in Nigeria with our head office in Abuja, bringing you all the details of everything you need to know about the Nigerian election, online, on radio, on television, and also in your home. So in your vehicle, listening to us as well. And so stay with us every step of the way. Here's how things are playing out. More than 93 million people are registered to vote. There will be about, we understand, 176,600 polling stations were indeed put together on election day. And a presidential candidate must receive the largest number of votes cast nationwide and at least a quarter of the vote in no fewer than 24 out of the country's 36 states. If no one clears both hurdles of winning the majority of the votes cast and at least a quarter of the vote in no fewer than 24 out of the country's 36 states, there will be a complete runoff. And the Constitution says the runoff must take place within 21 days of the announcement of the results. So that's how things will play out with respect to the Nigeria elections. And it's some 13 minutes till they are. Grace Amosari is here. I know you have a stake in Nigeria.
Yes, Alfred, and to even think that Komla just told us INEC has been warning the media not to make projections about who is in the lead and who is not. It looks like we'll have to wait for a while, because if only 6 out of the 36 states have been able to certify their results, we have to wait for days before we can get the remaining 30 to do this. So
a long way to go.
And tomorrow is the last day of February, so we wait to see if we might be going into maybe the 10th, or we just wait to see
how things will play
out. We must commend Nigeria so far. It's not been all that clean, but so far so good.
So far so good.
Done well.
Let's get into what you have for business.
Let's do business now. And financial analyst Joe Jackson is shocked over high interest rates offered on treasury bills by government at a time when it is restructuring the country's debt. The director of business operations at Delex Finance fears the rates at which the government is borrowing will erode the gains that may be realized from the debt exchange. He spoke on Base Brief on TV3 a while ago. We'll bring you.
Agree that we are in the current economic mess, largely because we borrowed too much. And every time we hear the government borrowing and borrowing more and more, it should be of concern to us. And not only are we borrowing at very high rates. And every well-meaning Ghanaian should ask that if bonds spread over years at a weighted average of 19% cannot be paid, how can we then pay T-bills spread over months, 3 months, 6 months, at an average of 35% and more? If there is so much supply of funds to the government, shouldn't that result in a reduction in rate rather than an increment in rates? I also question why, as Ghanaians, we keep throwing money at the government, and why we keep accepting such high rates.
That was Director of Business Operations at Delex Finance, Joe Jackson. So other stories, Ghana is not seeking debt cancellation from China. That is according to 3 business sources at the Finance Ministry. What government is hoping to do is to get China to agree to a debt restructuring of a sort that will reduce Ghana's debt burden as part of efforts to bring the country's debt to a sustainable level of 55% of gross domestic product. It appears many are wrongly interpreting debt treatment to mean debt cancellation and erroneously reporting that government is seeking debt cancellation from China. Meanwhile, China has so far turned down any request for a renegotiation of Ghana's debt, according to the German ambassador to Ghana, Daniel Krul. The finance minister, who was earlier scheduled to travel to China for further engagement, is now expected to visit the Asian country by the end of March to try to get China to agree to a debt restructuring program. And stay with us because we'll bring you more on that. So other stories, expects petrol and diesel prices to drop between 3% and 4% from Wednesday. That is according to the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers. The Chamber, however, explains that the expected reduction has nothing to do with the Gold for Oil program, but a drop in the price of the commodity on the international market. However, gas price will go up. While the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers project a 4% increase in price, the Vice Chairman of the LPG Marketers Association of Ghana, Gabriel Gabriel Kumi tells 3 Business LPG prices could go up by 6%.
Picking more than 4%. We are picking about 6%. So even if we get 4%, that will be on the lower side. Our checks indicate that we are likely to go beyond 5% beginning on Wednesday. And that will raise the price to almost 16 cedis per kilo, which will shoot the average 14.5 kg to above 300 cedis. And that is scary. That is scary. I always keep saying that it's for a very, very, very good reason that His Excellency the President and his cabinet set a target for consumption of LPG. There's a great wisdom in that. But you can't eat your cake and have it. You can't set such a laudable objective and then sit down and allow prices to go up uncontrollably.
Gabriel Kumi is Vice Chairman of the LPG Marketers Association of Ghana, ending business on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Grace Hamwa Ajiman.
Hi, Grace. Thank you so much. We hopefully, with this projection of a reduction in the price of petroleum products, it should come with some grace. But hey, Terry, good days for Manchester United, is it not?
Yes, really good days there. They are enjoying themselves. You are enjoying yourselves.
I'm not a Manchester fan.
Oh, really?
I'm a Manchester City fan.
Oh, you're a City fan?
Yes.
So you're not a Manchester fan, but it's also there's also Manchester in.
Don't do this.
Oh, okay.
Let's get into what you have, shall we?
By all means, so we'll be starting elsewhere, actually, where the Ghana 23 national team, that's the Black Meteors, have started camping today ahead of the Under 23 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. Ghana will play the winner of the game between Ethiopia and Algeria following the disqualification of DR Congo. The next edition of the Under 23 Africa Cup of Nations will take place in Morocco. It serves as the qualifiers for the Olympic football tournament for African teams. The top 3 in the Under 23 AFCON will get places in the Olympics. Head coach of the side, Ibrahim Tanko, hopes that he will have a full-strength side available to him.
Definitely, we are preparing, and our game is 17th in March and 24th March. So, definitely from next week, we are going to go to the camp.
But are you rest assured you're going to have all your players, including those playing outside?
Yes, because it's a FIFA date, definitely we could get them. But we have to see. We don't want to call a lot that are not playing. We have to look at the position we want. If the person can, we have to play. So, we just have to do the right thing.
Right now, moving on, the best FIFA Football Awards winners for 2022 will be crowned at a ceremony on Monday, that's February 27, in Paris. 2022 World Cup winner Lionel Messi and 2019 Women's World Cup winner Alex Morgan are in the finalist lists for football's biggest annual awards. Messi, who inspired Argentina to a dramatic victory at the Qatar 2022 FIFA Men's World Cup, scoring 7 goals, makes the top 3 list for the 5th time, alongside France's Kylian Mbappe and Karim Benzema. Messi last won the award in 2019. Robert Lewandowski was crowned the best FIFA men's player in 2022. Now, American star Morgan, who is preparing for the 3rd straight FIFA Women's World Cup appearance in Australia and New Zealand later this year, makes the women's shortlist alongside last year's best women's player, that's Alexia Putellas, and England's Beth Mead. The awards will begin 8 p.m. tonight, Ghana time. Elsewhere, let's do some Premier League related stories. And Chelsea manager Graham Potter is comparing his current predicament to that of Mikel Arteta's first season at Arsenal and Jurgen Klopp's first season at Liverpool. The Blues lost 2-0 to Tottenham on a Sunday, worsening Potter's woes. Let's take a listen to Graham Potter.
Wanted him out, and it's a disaster. And obviously now things have changed a little bit. But that's just the way it is. You know, if you look at Jurgen's situation, they haven't got the results, and all of a sudden people want him out. That's just the nature of football. And obviously I haven't done enough at this club to have too much good faith, and I also accept that as well. So my job is to not to worry too much about that, understand the question, understand where it comes from totally, and just to try to focus on keep helping the team, keep supporting the players, because I really like these players. They're good.
Now, elsewhere, Barcelona forward Robert Lewandowski picked up an injury during the match against Almeria, where his team lost 1-0, surprisingly, and will not be able to play in the Copa del Rey game against Real Madrid on Thursday. That's a big blow to Xavi. There's a serious absence for Xavi Hernandez's side, as the coach cannot count on Pedri and Ousmane Dembele, who are also injured. The Polish striker was able to finish the game on Sunday against Andalusian team. In Monday's training session, the striker's injury was confirmed and he could be out for 2 weeks. And that'll be all for the sport here on Hot Edition. My name is Thierry Nyan. Thanks for listening. Alfred.
Gary, thank you so much for the updates. You can find more on 3 Sports GH.
By all means.
Great stuff. Thank
Across
you.
all platforms.
Across all platforms. Great up. We're getting to entertainment now, and Akofa is coming by. But before that, the kingmakers of the Yagbon skin of the Gunja Kingdom, headed by the Sonyowura Kanyiti the First, have settled on Tuwewura, Sole Mbema, Amone Bafe, Bonyeri as the next king of the Yagbon skin. Yeah. An announcement was made by the Sonyowura Kanyeti at the Jakpa Palace after a closed-door meeting by the kingmakers. Akofa.
Hi, Alfred.
Say hi.
Yeah, coming up on entertainment tonight, social media reacts to John Dumelo's Ayawaso West Wogon Second Coming, and Will Smith adjudged Best Actor Award at the 2023 NAACP Image Awards. And now the stories. Social media users have shared their opinions on John Dumelo's announcement of a second coming in his quest to become the Member of Parliament for the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency. Now, contrary to speculations that he might be eyeing a parliamentary seat in the Volta region, the actor and farmer will be contesting for the Ayawaso West Wogon seat for the second time. Making the announcement on his social media pages, he wrote, "After an extensive consultation with my God, my family and our party faithful in Ayawaso West Wogon, this is the second coming. Hashtag still I day for you." Now, in the 2020 elections, John Dumelo contested for the constituency seat on the ticket of the NDC, but lost to the NPP's leader, Sarah Malhassan, during the general elections. If he wins the National Democratic Congress's parliamentary primaries, he will represent the party again in 2024. So far, actor and business mogul Fred Nuama has also announced that he has picked up a form to run for the parliamentary primaries in the same constituency. Now, the National Democratic Congress has announced May 13, 2023 for both presidential and parliamentary primaries. Now, let me share some reactions of what people are saying about John Dumelo's second coming. At Fee Vic Trudy says, "Oh no, JD, you should have gone for Guan. You really should have. I feel this is a huge gamble. I pray it hits huge for you because you deserve to be in Parliament." And at E. Ben Bano says, "Very good decision. NDC has never repeated a candidate in that constituency before. You are going to be the first, and this is why you are going to win the seat for the first time. Mark my words." And we have at Evershed_YPT saying, "You are the only candidate that can pull huge numbers for NDC in that constituency. The votes you pull for NDC in the last election, no other candidate on the ticket of NDC will pull anything close to that. If they introduce a new candidate, congrats, J Mello." And finally on that one, at the_Macaulay_boy says, "Honestly, you should have gone to your hometown, but still, Vim Day since you consulted God." And finally, Hollywood legend Will Smith for his role in the Apple TV Plus movie Emancipation and the Best Actor Award at the 2023 NAACP Image Awards. Now, the film recounts the tale of Peter, a runaway slave who struggles against a cruel Louisiana plantation owner to gain his freedom. Now, the thing about this is, while he accepted the award, he wasn't able to give the speech by himself, but you know, his message at the end of the day was shared with everybody else, telling people how appreciative he is and also encouraging people to keep fighting for freedom and justice as well. And that's it for entertainment. My name is Akofa.
It's a great movie. I've seen that movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie,
yeah,
huh?
Man, yeah. It tells a story with all the emotional attachment to it. I think Will Smith
I've seen
is good
snippets, and you can tell that he put in a lot of effort. Indeed. There was a lot of effort, but people were a bit worried because I think the whole slap Chris Rock thingy, people believed it could have, it was a marred it in a way, but at the end of the day, he's winning things for it. So So clearly the movie is speaking for itself.
It is indeed. Akofa, thank you. You're back at 8 o'clock.
I am back
to
at 8.
wind down with us. Great.
You got that right.
Well, we go. The report of the committee on the presidential nominees for ministerial positions will be adopted by secret ballot. Chairman of the Appointments Committee of Parliament, Jose Usu, tells 3FM this has been necessitated by the minority members of the committee's position not to approve the nominees. Evelyn Tema gave details of what happened today.
Appointments Committee of Parliament began vetting of the president's nominees for ministerial positions. The National Democratic Congress, NDC, gave a directive to its members not to approve the nominees. The vetting took place between February 21 and 22. Deputy Minority Leader Emmanuel Amakofibua says it is appropriate for parties to direct their MPs.
It is done across the world. It's not new. In Ghana, if you want to know a political party that has given more directives to their parliamentary caucus, is the New Patriotic Party. A recent directive by the General Secretary of the MPP to the Majority Caucus to walk out on essential motion. The letter is all over the place.
He argued that government should have aligned some ministries.
We had an opportunity where 3 ministers had basically resigned this new position. You listen to the performance of the ministers. Are you sure that we don't have men in this government who could have done better?
The chairman of the committee, Joseph Osei-Wusu, indicated that the report, which will be taken to the plenary this week, will be by secret ballot.
Our recommendation will be that the majority says yes, the minority says no. If we recommend approval by consensus, then the decision is taken by a voice vote.
Okay, that's Jose also, First Deputy Speaker of Parliament there. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Hot Edition. On behalf of the rest of the team, appreciate your company. Join us same time tomorrow. I am Alfred Ocansey. Stay with us, and you have Giovanni and DJ Faculty coming up with more on the drive.